but I had those are. Oh.
Wow, sounds like a wake. Well, good evening and welcome to the Candidates Forum. My name is Joe Gagliardi, and I have the privilege of serving as the President and CEO of Choose Folsom and the Chamber of Commerce. I'm here tonight on behalf of our board, representing the breadth of businesses. With the Chamber represents nearly 4,000 businesses, including 2,000 members and partners. We're here to serve our community, leading advocates for economic growth, jobs, and protecting Folsom's quality of life. It is our pleasure to provide this community service event to the Folsom residents. A special thanks to Dr. Art Pimentel, the president of the college, for allowing us to use this wonderful facility, including this stage and its broadcasting equipment. So a big round of applause for Art. I also want to thank Folsom Times for live streaming tonight's event and making it available for viewing anytime on the Folsom Times and the Chamber of Commerce, both social media pages, especially Facebook and YouTube. With our new council district maps in place as required by law, in 2024, our citizens will be electing new city council members in districts 2 and 4 this year. There are no incumbents in this race in either of the districts, And collectively, we have 6 candidates vying for these 2 district seats. This evening's forum is designed to help you get to know these candidates, understand more about their motivation to serve, what their priorities are, and how they will serve as elected officials. Now it's my time to introduce our moderators. We're fortunate tonight and grateful to have 2 Folsom residents, well-known former Sheriff John McGinnis and Adam Frick of Folsom Times as our co-moderators this year. Please join me in welcoming them.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Adam. And thanks to all of our viewers on Facebook for joining us this evening. Adam and I are both very happy to serve as moderators for this forum. And let's begin by welcoming the City Council candidates in alphabetical order, starting with Hella El-Khatib, Gul Khan, Barbara Leary, Justin Raythil, and Dustin Silva. Before the forum begins, we had each candidate draw a number. That number is determined their seat on the stage. Oh, I'm sorry. I used to know this guy, too. And now, Jim Ortega. Man, he wasn't even at the beginning or the end of the list. That's pretty shameful. So again, thank you all for being here tonight. And before the forum began, we had each candidate draw a number. That number determined their seat on the stage. The candidates are now seated in the order of that random drawing. Nothing particularly significant about that. So let me point out that this is a forum, not a debate. We intend to ask thoughtful questions and get thoughtful responses. So candidates, please direct your answers to the audience, not to one another. And to draw a contrast between you and the other candidates, we encourage everyone to be specific, to offer solutions, and avoid repeating what has already been said. We'll be rotating questions so everyone has a chance to go first in answering. We'll also allow candidates the option to use part of their closing remarks to answer a question that they did not have a chance to address earlier. We will indicate how much time is allowed per question, and we have someone serving as a timer. You'll see him in the audience right there. They will provide 30 and 15-second warnings so you can know when your time is almost up. If necessary, we may politely but firmly interrupt you if you exceed your time.
As you answer the questions, keep in mind that you do not have to use all the time allotted. I know it's hard as politicians, but you do not have to use all of your time. Once you've answered the question, you feel like you've got it done, and there is still time left, it's okay to stop. And if we have extra time, we can always ask more questions. During the final section, we call it the lightning round. You will be asked to simply raise your hand to indicate whether you support or oppose various ballot measures or ideas important to the Folsom community. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, we are going to do our very best to stay on schedule. Time is a valuable commodity. We intend to respect it this evening. Finally, respect is the key word. I'd like us to keep in mind this evening, and let's have a civil discourse that is respectful and reflective of the community in which we live. We also ask that everyone on and off the stage, please remember to silence your cell phones. And now let's get started.
All right, each candidate, please take 90 seconds. I'll introduce you and key you to start. 90 seconds to introduce yourself and provide some background about who you are and why you want to serve on the City Council for our audience. We will begin with candidate number 1 and proceed across the stage. Candidate 1, 90 seconds, please. That's you, sir.
We got David in the back. He's working his magic right now. You're good.
Try that again. There we go. Good evening. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Ortega. I want to thank the Choose Folsom and Folsom Lake College for providing this forum. I decided to run for city council at first when I discovered a couple of years ago that our city had not added any police officers to the city since 2010. I'm a retired law enforcement officer. My last job was chief of police in a small city outside of Sacramento County. Prior to that, I spent 30 years with the Sacramento Sheriff's Department. So I have a little bit of knowledge in that area, and I was disappointed to see that our city had done that. As I dug further into the problem of the budget, I discovered that our parks and our trails and our transportation infrastructure has been just sorely not taken care of over the past 10 to 15 years. This is a budget problem due to an Amazon effect, and Folsom is at a crossroads. Hard decisions are going to have to be made in the next 5 to 10 years. I have the experience and the knowledge to make those decisions. I've made those hard decisions before, and I've demonstrated the experience of solving problems. Been able to solve a lot of hard problems over the course of my career, and I'm prepared to do that now. We will continue to partner in dealing with the homeless crisis with our nonprofits in this area, as well as the County of Sacramento, to deal with them and their behavioral health issues. We will not arrest ourselves out of that issue. We will do it with compassion and sensitivity. So hopefully I get to answer more questions and say more later on. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Candidate number 2, Mr. Silva.
Is that working? All right.
Seems like not.
Cool. Thank you. So over the next hour and a half, I'm going to show you why I'm the best candidate in District 2. Number one, my experience with fiscal management, legislative work, community engagement, and leadership are all a unique set of experiences and skills that I have that go along with the vision of Folsom, and my vision of Folsom, which is maintaining our place as the most prosperous, safest place to live. As a sheriff captain, I have a deep understanding of the criminal and homeless situation that we're facing right now. In the county, I have led initiatives that have addressed these problems and brought about meaningful change. As the head of the Sheriff's Government Affairs Committee, I've maintained relationships with both county, state, and federal legislatures, which have directly led to additional funding to the Sheriff's Department, and those are relationships I plan to bring to the City Council. I'm a strong believer in fiscal responsibility. Right now I oversee a $40 million budget, and I ensure that every penny is spent efficiently and appropriately. 13 years ago, my wife and I made one of the biggest decisions of our lives and the best decisions, and that was moving to Folsom. It's essential that we maintain and preserve what Folsom is, and moving forward, we have somebody on the board with those ideals in mind. So thank you very much.
Candidate number 3, Ms. Leary.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Barbara Leary, and I have a long-time investment in Folsom. I've focused on keeping neighborhoods safe and welcoming places to live. As a Parks and Planning Commissioner and volunteer, I've worked on establishing parks, trails, and development standards to help our town become and remain distinctive by nature. I've learned through my experiences what our residents and business concerns are. I've created consensus by working collegially and using all available resources to find practical and creative solutions to problems. As an environmental group leader, I've worked with county commissions and staff and other city leaders while serving on many stakeholder groups. I'm now serving on the Regional Water Forum. As a former nurse practitioner at UC Davis, I know the challenges of finding compassionate care for the mentally ill and unhoused. I support a bipartisan bill to create a countywide joint powers authority to address these issues. I understand the city's budget and financial needs. I will work to ensure that any city revenue is managed responsibly and that all departments are enabled to complete their missions. I have the breadth of experience and the capacity to do the work to strengthen Folsom. I'm the only candidate in District 4 with city and regional experience in advocacy and governing. The only legacy I seek to leave Folsom is to leave Folsom in better condition than it is in today. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4, Mr. Khan.
Good evening. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, to being here. I have the privilege to stand before you as a city council candidate. I have been a long-term resident of Folsom for 15-some years, and as a single parent, I have raised my children over here, and I have a first-hand information that how exceptional this Folsom society is, providing exceptional schools. We have beautiful trails, safe neighborhood, and nurturing environment. However, let's be honest. Everyone on this stage right now, they love Folsom. But just loving the Folsom is not going to cut it. We need to have a candidate who have experience, commitment, resolve to tackle the challenges that are lie ahead of us. Our community faces right now, there are challenges, and those challenges are fiscal responsibility, public safety, homelessness, developing infrastructure development, and fostering economic growth. I have the experience to navigate these challenges and unwavering commitment to go through these challenges. And the choice you have to make today is to find out that who is the best candidate who can actually handle this thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 5, Ms. El-Khatib.
Hello, Folsom. My name is Hella El-Khatib. I am proud to be here in front of you running for City Council in District 2. I'm running for City Council because I've had the privilege and honor of growing up here, being here my whole life, and I want to make a positive change for our community. I want to give back to the place that raised me. I'm really proud to be here at Folsom Lake College, my alma mater. It feels super full circle and really special to me. You know, the issues that we have in our town are ones that have developed over time. As someone who's been here since childhood, I can say that the reason my parents came here is for the quality of life that Folsom has to offer, especially when it comes to raising kids and for young people to thrive here. And for me, it's all about maintaining that. You know, I want to make sure that my generation of Folsom residents can live here, can have a job here, can, you know, sustain business, be business owners here if they want to give back to their community. It's very important for me to make sure that the next generation of Folsom residents, my generation, has a place in this town, is represented by our council adequately, our youth issues are prioritized, so that Folsom can be a great place to live for everyone across the board. Because we're the present and we're also the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate number 6, Mr. Rathel.
Good evening. My name is Justin Rathel. I'm also running for City Council District 2. Folsom is a great place to live, work, and raise a family, but we must hold city officials accountable to keep it that way. That's why I'm running for City Council. I'm an engineer, I'm a small business owner, and I'll focus on providing essential services like police, fire, and parks. As a planning commissioner, I stood up to developers to oppose projects that would increase traffic congestion. I fought for safe walking routes and trails to schools and parks, and I protected open spaces and heritage oak trees to preserve our quality of life. As Rotary president, I organized efforts to get homeless off Folsom streets and into mental health and supportive services. As your voice on the City Council, I'll ensure our ban on homeless encampments is enforced, especially near schools, trails, and parks. Our residents deserve safe neighborhoods. I built relationships throughout the region that will help me to secure local, state, and federal funding to build the Empire Ranch interchange and to relieve the congestion on East Bidwell Street. I'll also oppose growth that further clogs our streets. I'm proud to have earned the support of the Folsom Firefighters Association and the Sacramento Association of Realtors because they know I'll make protecting Folsom's families a priority. I respectfully ask for your vote on November 5th.
Thank you for your opening comments. Our first question deals with public safety. This time, we will begin with candidate number 2, and you have 1 minute to give your answer, and here's the question. How would you propose making our community safer? Within this, please speak specifically to the issue of homelessness and whether you think we have enough police officers serving the city. You have 1 minute to give your answer, and we'll start with Mr. Dustin.
So 1 minute is really not enough time to kind of go into this issue, but I'll give it a shot. So the answer is no, we do not have enough officers on the streets. We just funded 2 additional officers and 1 sergeant to form a hot team, which is a great start, but we have to build on that. We have to have people in the streets that are addressing the homeless issue. Additional officers are needed in that. we also need additional officers for patrol. There's about half the shifts where south of 50 is not manned with a police officer. So we need additional officers for that. The homeless issue is one of our biggest problems right now. We're having issues throughout District 2 within the Central Business District, and then a lot in the Historic District as well. I spearheaded the initiative within the county to clean up the homeless issues, and right now we don't have one large camp within the county. That's something that we've taken care of in less than a year and a half. So I know how to do it. It is going to require more officers, and yes, that is one of the major issues facing Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. We're going to move on to candidate 3, Barbara Leary.
Thank you. I agree that we do need to have more police officers on staff, and I was happy to see that the city was able to fund 3 more positions at the beginning of July, and that the group that is assigned to working on the homeless issue has been active in not only enforcing the no camping ordinance, but also providing some compassionate referrals for health, mental health, and housing for these people. We've got some good volunteer organizations lately. We need to grow those. I have been in contact with Assemblyman Hoover to discuss the Joint Power Authority agreement so that we can work with other cities in the county and our region, because we really need to establish better services countywide and work collegially with other cities so that we're not just creating a revolving door for the homeless. We do need better traffic control, and I have some ideas on how we might accomplish that, and would be happy to look into funding by grants or otherwise to make sure that we have safer streets to travel on. Thank you.
Ms. Leary. We're going to go to candidate number 4, Mr. Kuhn. Oh, sorry, Khan?
Yes.
Khan, sorry.
Thank you very much. So public safety, if you look at it, that one of in my opening remarks, I said that one of the reasons why I moved here is because of it provides a very safe environment. As I said that as a single parent, it was one of the main proponent for me that, oh, it's a very safe town. I can actually raise my family over here. But look at it now where we are. In 2008, we had number of police officers we have about 10 less police officers today. So, and our total population has increased from close to 60,000 to 88,000 now. So we need actually more police officers, of course, that we need to have more budget on that one as well. When it comes to homeless, we need to look at it that homelessness is not a crime, but at the same time, there are criminal elements within the homeless. So we need to look at it. Cities are at the forefront of the homelessness, but we need to coordinate it with the county, with the state, and the federal government. And with my experience working with the grants, with the other agencies as well, I am the best candidate to actually solve that problem.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Appreciate that. We're going to go to candidate number 5, Ms. El-Khatib.
Yeah, I will go ahead and concur with the other candidates that we definitely need more staffing for our police department, both for the HOT team and just generally. I think, when it comes to funding our police department as well, I think resources like mental health counselors that directly are employed by our Folsom police department and not just the county, so that we have jurisdiction over what they do and whether they can go or not. I know that that's an issue when we have county mental health counselors is really important, so that's something I'd want to look at. Also having a navigator to help the HOT team deal with the homeless population in our city. I also think working with nonprofits like Heart and Jake's Journey Home is an important step to take to providing the services that exist and making sure that people have what they need when they want to seek help. I think all of that is incredibly important, and working regionally as well to ensure that we're tackling this in a collaborative way is also important.
Thank you, Ms. El-Khatib. And now on to candidate number 6, Mr. Rathel.
Our city's primary responsibility is public safety. Unfortunately, Folsom has done a mediocre job of enforcing our laws when it comes to our unhoused population. Our city could have done more to protect our homes and our businesses. I've heard our city attorney say that our homeless actually have more rights than our residents, and I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. Our residents deserve to not have fires in our open spaces threatening our homes. Our residents and small businesses deserve clear sidewalks and creeks that are not trashed, leading to unsafe conditions in our lakes. While that is our city's responsibility, I have a different responsibility. I volunteered countless hours at Powerhouse Ministries, Heart, and Twin Lakes Food Bank because I personally care and want to make sure that everyone that wants services gets services in Folsom. So I do think that our officers do a good job, and we want to encourage them to keep working with our nonprofits that are wonderful in Folsom and making sure that everybody that wants a hand up can get one.
Thank you, Mr. Rathel. We're going to go all the way over to number 1, Mr. Ortega.
So of the candidates running in District 4, I'm the only one that has a success story from a previous agency where I reduced the homeless calls for service to our police department by 37%. And I did that because I was able to collaboratively work with the nonprofit agencies in the county of El Dorado when I was up in Placerville and coordinate all of those services to make sure that everybody is on the same sheet of music. I would intend to do the same thing here with our nonprofits here in Folsom and partner them more closely with the Department of Health and Human Services agencies in the county of Sacramento. They don't really have a presence here in Folsom because our city is viewed as not having a big homeless problem. Well, for everybody in this room, the homeless problem is big because it's our problem, and I would like to see more of a presence there. As far as our staffing goes, yes, we need more officers, and I would want to make sure that we have the technology to better direct our officers into the areas that they are using, going into, so we're not just randomly driving around, and we can give them the better tools to get their job done.
Thank you, candidates. Next question is budget, everybody's favorite, and we're going to start with candidate number 3, Ms. Leary, on this one. Our next question concerns the city budget. What will your budget priorities be if elected to office, and how will you work to balance the budget in the years ahead? You have 1 minute to answer your question, and we'll start with, again, candidate number 3.
I don't think it's a mystery at all that the city has had some budgetary challenges over the last several years. And I attended all of the budget hearings this past year, during which time the council was struggling with how to fill in some of the gaps, make sure that we had enough police and fire support, as well as identifying areas that need continued support. The problem, as I think everyone has become well aware of, is that we have lost a lot of income with the increase in online buying, and the city is very dependent not just on our property taxes, but on the income that we get from sales. And that's going to be a tough problem to solve. I'm encouraging everyone to shop locally as much as possible. We do need to increase our income by some measure. Measure G is on the ballot, and everybody will have the choice of enhancing our income by voting yes on G. However, many people are opposed to that. And we will need to identify other sources for income if it doesn't pass, and I'm willing to look at all possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rathel, the same question. Do you need it repeated?
From 3 to 6 right there. All right. No, I don't need the question repeated.
I'm going in the order seated. If we can certainly. I'm sorry. My error. Excuse me, Mr. Khan.
I'm happy to go.
It's the new math. Clearly, you don't understand it.
More than me. All right. So one of the main things that we all have to look at it is our council member. As a council member, our responsibility is to make sure that we provide a balanced budget right now for the city. We just adopted a budget recently, and if you look at it, we have only $1.7 million budget available for us to actually play with. We did not have enough budget available. Why? How did we get here? So we need to, first of all, have a transparency. We need to have some sort of audit done that where the money is going and why we are actually losing that much money. We need to find out, as my council member, my first priority would be to find out more revenue streams. We don't need to just rely only on one stream, that is the sales tax. Yes, that is important, but at the same time, we need to find out more revenue streams as well. We also need to look at it that the habit of people have changed, and it's not going to change again. We are saying that shop local, yes, I do that as well, but at the same time, people who have been shopping online, they are going to continue to do this. We need to find more ways to actually go to the county and the state and find out that if we can get more share from that online sales tax as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. El-Khatib, do you need the question repeated? Or?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the budget, the first priority is public safety. I think as residents, we all value our public safety in Folsom. It is integral to the quality of life that we enjoy here, and nothing else would take without it. So that would be my priority. Also, our parks and trails, they're what make Folsom distinctive by nature, and they have been neglected, unfortunately, because of the deficit that we're coming up on. So that's another really important thing to prioritize in our budget. With Measure G, those two areas would be funded by this measure if it passes, and so I'm hopeful that could remove some burden in the key areas that the measure covers, which includes public safety and parks and trails. Other than that, if it doesn't pass, hard cuts will have to be made, and it's really important to ensure that we are passing a very balanced, fiscally responsible budget.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Rathel.
All right, number 6 is up. I really think this is a two-part question. The first is if Measure G does pass, and the second is that if Measure G doesn't go ahead. And the second part is really the hard part of the question, because that is where cuts are going to have to happen. I do concur with Ms. El-Khatib that public safety is our priority. And I think the council has demonstrated that even though we have less officers now than we did, Parks and Rec has also been hammered from budgetary standpoint. I went to soccer practice the other day, and our fields are just in terrible condition. The trails around my house have been marked off for 3 years for repairs and haven't been repaired. So personally, I'm really hoping that Measure G does go through because it can fix a lot of the issues that are in our community. But the hard decision to be made would be public safety is a priority. We try to hold the line best we can on that with cost increases and keep trying to use that equipment as long as we can, probably skimping on some training like has been going on. And then Parks and Rec continue to get hammered, unfortunately, going forward. And I don't want that for our city.
Thank you. Mr. Ortega, you need the question repeated, or are you okay?
Thank you. So, yes, so Measure G is obviously an option that's coming up that everyone in this room is going to have to decide on. And there are two parts to that. But let's just look at it, whether it passes or not. There are sources of grant funds that our city has not gone after for the past 10 years or so. There are state and federal funds that we could apply for that would help close up some of these budget gaps. I would push to have at least 1 or 2 people full-time, they don't have to be city employees, do nothing but find grant money for this city. There are technology grants, there are transportation grants, parks grants, all kinds of grants out there. And for some reason, we cut positions years ago that used to do that full-time. If Measure G doesn't pass, yes, there will be hard decisions that will have to be made, but it's been clear from the surveys that I've read and the people I've listened to that public safety is going to be first and our first priority before we cut anything else, before we cut there.
Mr. Silva, same question. You need it refreshed?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you. So, yeah, my number one priority is definitely public safety, right? We have to get a community prosecutor into the city of Folsom. We have to work with RT to make sure that it's a commuter train is not bringing in a bad element. That's something I've worked with at the Sheriff's Department. I worked at RT, so I know the kinds of crimes and stuff that go on the RT trains. But second to that is economic development. We really need to work on, as a city, becoming better to attracting businesses here, keeping them here. I would propose that we put somebody full-time in charge of economic development to help businesses get through the process. I mean, there's some businesses that are taking, up to a year, year and a half to get started. So that's something that we can get better at as a city. I'd also look into public-private partnerships. I've worked a lot with them in the county. They seem to work real well, and they can revitalize areas. It's the property owners, business owners are in control of those funds, and they get to use them how it's going to benefit their community, their business areas the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. From that topic, we'll now move to another important topic for everyone, transportation and traffic. So we're going to start with candidate number 4. What do you believe the city should do to reduce traffic congestion and make our streets a safer place to drive? You have 1 minute, and we'll start with Mr. Khan.
Thank you. So first of all, we need to look at it that where we have the traffic congestion is. And as an IT professional, I can tell you that we can actually very easily install some of the smart traffic cameras and all, and the sensors where we can easily redistribute the traffic as well and reroute them as well. So that's very easy. That's a low-hanging fruit that we can do. Recently, I had an interview with the Folsom police chief, and I was talking to him as well about that. He said that those cameras are actually one of the best asset that we have as of now. We need to use and leverage the technology more to do that. In that way, we will be able to do this. Then also, we need to find out what are the different intersections where we have those major issues. For example, East Bidwell and Oak Avenue Parkway. That's the intersection where a lot of accidents are happening. East Bidwell and Iron Point intersection, right off of 50. That's the one where we are having that issue. So we need to look at it, how we can actually reroute the traffic and make sure that we provide those the alternate routes to the citizens who don't need to go through the same traffic channel all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. We're going to move on to Ms. El-Khatib.
Yeah, I think when it comes to traffic, investing in projects like the Southeast Connector is always helpful. Improving public safety as well as our roads and easing traffic. I think another big element is encouraging walkability in our town and keeping that in mind when we take on new projects, especially when it comes to routes to school, integrating with our trails and really encouraging that to mitigate traffic. Also, the use of public transportation where it can be used, I think is important. And all of those things coupled together will eventually ease traffic.
Thank you, Ms. El-Khatib. We're going to go to candidate number 6, Mr. Rathel.
I mentioned it in my opening statement. My top priority is the Empire Ranch interchange. It was slated to be built in 2007. That money was diverted to another infrastructure project for good reason. But we are here 17 years later, and all of those houses have been built, but the interchange to get on and off Highway 50 has not been built. So we need to go after the most amount of state and federal funding that we can get in order to couple with our local contribution and build the Empire Ranch interchange. It'll have a significant impact on our worst traffic corridor, which is East Bidwell. We also have work to do in the Central Business District on East Bidwell Street. There are so many curb cuts along there. It does slow down traffic in there, and I think we could do a better job redesigning our Central Business District. I thank the people that are serving on that committee looking at that issue right now. I also think timing of lights is important. I know it kind of seems pretty silly, but our major arterials should have timed lights going through town. It doesn't make any sense with the size we are now to keep running on sensors, and that's a lot of the perception of traffic is that those lights just aren't timed on those arterials. So I'd fix that on day one.
Thank you, Mr. Rathel. We're going to go to candidate number 1, Mr. Ortega.
Yeah, so to reduce traffic, a couple things have been brought up. The Empire Ranch interchange is one. That's where we can work with our regional elected officials at the congressional and state level to get some more funding. We have some of it already. We need to work on getting more of it. One of the things that's being done in Folsom Ranch is the area around where the medical facilities are going to be built are going to be designed to be more walkable, and housing is being designed and being implemented that will be for the employees to walk to work and not have to drive to Sacramento or come from El Dorado Hills, and hopefully they can buy a different level of home, whatever they're looking for. And then the Empire Ranch. And then in the Central Business District, I know that part of that plan and citywide is being looked at are roundabouts or rotaries, whatever you want to call them. If you've been to a city where they have those, like if you've ever been on Glen Drive when it's just busy and you just wait for those lights to turn, a rotary would get rid of almost all of that traffic congestion. If we put those in certain key parts of our city, traffic will be greatly minimized. So,
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. We're going to move on to candidate number 2, Mr. Silva.
Yeah, so when I think of traffic, there's really two issues, right? It's the enforcement arm of it. So we have people, believe it or not, that are not great drivers in Folsom. So adding to the traffic officers that are on the streets. But with that, we can do an educational component, right? We can get them into the schools, talking to the parents, PTA meetings, that sort of thing. So a large educational campaign about just safe driving and what the consequences are for bad driving, number one. Number two, and it's been talked about a lot here, so I'm not going to go over all the stuff that's been already said, but yes, we do need investment in technology, re-engineering of some of our major intersections, and then, yeah, just a redesign in different places.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. We're going to move on to candidate number 3, Barbara Leary.
Thank you. Actually, transportation and traffic issues were some of the first ones I got involved in my neighborhood. We had no crosswalks across a 4-lane road between apartments and homes or along our streets, and it was quite common for people to be driving 45, 50 miles an hour or more while kids were trying to cross the streets to go to school. So we had to lobby the council to come up with at least some more stop signs and crosswalks in our area. There are grants available to provide traffic calming measures. Things such as roundabouts are certainly very effective where they're placed. There's a lot of retrofitting that would have to take place. What occurred in my neighborhood was we had the streets narrowed in at least a couple of sections with additional bike lanes. And altering the width with curb cuts can also reduce the speed of traffic. I'd strongly support having a traffic patrol assignment as a regular activity for our police department, and as we get more police, which I hope we can do, I would add that. And of course, I'm looking forward to having the Empire Ranch interchange completed, and I like to encourage people to use public transit and ride sharing to get around town to reduce the number of cars on the street.
Thank you, Ms. Leary. Next up is land use, very, very critical topic. There are 2 specific plans for new land use and major revitalization in the city, the so-called River District Plan and the Central Business District Plan. I'm sure you all know these well. Do you support these proposals? Why or why not? And if elected, what actions would you take on them? You have 1 minute for your response, and we're going to start with number 5, Ms. El-Khatib.
Yeah, I definitely support. I think it's a great way to bring in new business, to really show off what we have here in Folsom, especially with the River District Plan. I think that is a good way to bring in tourism, to have people want to come and visit the beautiful, assets we have here in Folsom, and to encourage business and bring in new revenue. So I'm supportive of that.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Rathel, am I okay now in order? Okay, all right.
All good, thank you. You can call me out anytime, well, I'll go in random order if you like. So, as far as land use goes, I've served on our Folsom Planning Commission for 6 years. I currently serve on the County Planning Commission, and so I am well-versed in land use and can bring that experience to the City Council of what we can do and then what we can't do as far as land use goes. The River District and the Central Business District are awesome opportunities. The River District, in particular, the Corporation Yard site, when we relocate the Corp Yard, has significant potential to be connected to our lovely state park. And that's really my view and my vision is we have community gathering places that are connected with nature, that are walkable for our residents. And then also you can walk over to a business, get a glass of wine, maybe a slice of pizza. That's really my vision for what I want to see in the River District, and the Corp Yard site is a mix of uses with some great public amenities. Same for the Central Business District. If you go down there, it's old, it's tired, there's not really any public space along there other than Limby Park, and I'd love to see more public space and more use for the public there.
Thank you, Mr. Rathel. Mr. Ortega, same question, sir. Do you need it refreshed?
No, thank you. I'm good. So yes, I support both of these rehabilitation efforts in the area. The River District is a really unique opportunity. Comes once in a lifetime for a city like ours to really improve that area, as someone said, link nature and our city and our great assets that we have down in the historic district and make it more walkable. And also hopefully bring in more tax revenue, right? We want people to come to Folsom. We want them to see the assets and the beautiful city that we have. This is going to enhance it. The Central Business District is a little bit of a different thing, but it needs to be improved. It's older. It needs a little attention. It needs some better traffic calming measures and some better measures in general for commercial development and safer traffic in the area altogether. Yeah, being on the Planning Commission, I've kind of dug deep into both of these projects and heard as they come on. And I look forward to seeing those come through when they're presented to the council.
Thank you very much. Mr. Silva, same question, sir.
The Central Business District is such a vital part of Folsom. There's such a huge tax base there. We have to take care of it. We have to revitalize it. It needs to become a destination place for people to come shop. We have Target there, Lowe's there. So anything we can do to draw people to that area, actually stay in that area instead of shopping and leaving, I think we're for. I would put one caveat on that is whatever we do, we still have to keep traffic in mind. There's two major thoroughfares there that we don't want to cause any more traffic. Again, with the River District plan, I love the idea, especially connecting it with the state parks. The last one I saw, it said, or part of the plan was actually getting rid of the rodeo grounds, which I would be completely against. I think the Folsom Rodeo is such a part of the fabric of Folsom that we don't want to do anything to harm that. So I definitely agree with the plan, but I don't think I would go for it if it meant that we had to lose the rodeo grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Ms. Leary.
Yeah, I have been serving on the River District Committee recently, and as a member of the Planning Commission when the Central Business District Plan was first being developed, I found that we had great opportunities to increase the income for the city and the use of local facilities by both residents and visitors. We have a great state park plan in place through the state park system, and the areas adjacent to the state park can provide great opportunities for tourism. The Corporation Yard is controversial, but offers a lot of opportunity. There's the opportunity to have something like a regional conference center, along with actually more open space and spaces for entertainment there to attract people. The Central Business District is challenging in that people own that land. However, we may be able to provide some incentives with grant funding and increase city income to have people either sell that land or provide incentives to rebuild the area to provide more varied and affordable housing opportunities for people, more commercial development that people actually want to use.
Thank you, Ms. Leary.
Increase
Mr.
our
Khan, same
gatherings.
question,
Thank
sir.
you.
Would you like it refreshed?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much. So if you look at both of these, River District and Central District, first of all, I support both of them, but they both have two different distinct objectives. The first one is for the tourism, focused on that, River District. And so if you look at it, we have a beautiful town, and if you even go to my website, I have a rainbow bridge behind that, and a lot of people actually just say, hey, we fall in love with this picture, not mine, but the bridge. So I was not that happy then. Anyways, so that is something that we need to look at it, and we need to support that because it's going to bring in a lot of revenue because of the tourism as well. As far as the Central District is concerned, Business District, it's a great plan. I would definitely support that one. I would like to add some more, make sure that we have more bike lanes or walkability over there. And also, if possible, we can have some shuttle service so that we don't, I live very close to from there. I don't want to just go to Central District driving my car over there and create more congestion. I would like to have some sort of shuttle service available, just like they did already in historic Sutter Street area. So that helped a lot. I would definitely encourage that one.
Thank you, everyone. Before we move on to the next question, I just want to put out a certain side note so that everybody knows that we have not given the candidates any questions before today. In fact, I am reading these for the first time myself. So just so anybody out there wondering if they had gotten the questions beforehand, nobody did. So we're going to move on to the next question, which is vision. So with a short question, but a long answer, looking at the big picture, tell us, what is your vision for the city of Folsom in the next 5 years? Starting with candidate number 6, Mr. Rathel.
That's a tough one there. Vision question. Over the next 5 years, I think really the priority is first off to preserve the Folsom that we all know and love. I would love to see our Measure G go forward so we have more funds to be able to execute on a vision. But I think regardless, we have to fight and work on the Folsom that we love. So my priorities, number one, is preventing overdevelopment. I think we are a very special place to live and a very special place to build, and we can maintain those high standards throughout Folsom. So that's number one priority for me. I've already talked a little bit about our infrastructure priorities. For me, is Empire Ranch interchange and solving that congestion priority. And then I think a thriving economy is the last part of the vision. I've been a small business owner for 15 years here in Folsom, and I really want to make it easier to do business in Folsom. I want to make it easier to expand in Folsom. Our permitting process takes way too long. And I don't know about you guys, I think I have 4 or 5 different City of Folsom apps on my phone. I'd love to reduce that down to one and make it really easy to communicate with our city.
Thank you, Mr. Rathel. We're going to move on to candidate number 1, Mr. Ortega.
Okay, in 5 to 10 years, what I would like to see is our crime rate go back down to where it was 10 or 15 years ago. And we can do that by making sure that we have the number of officers in comparison to our population, which we don't have now. Yes, development is good. I'd like to keep it measured so that we don't grow exponentially into a city of 400,000 people. I like the measured growth that we have done thus far. I'd like to keep it at that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ortega. We're going to move on to Mr. Silva.
Yeah, so my vision and kind of my guidepost for this is making sure Folsom's the safest the safest city in the area, right? And I think to do that, number one, yeah, we have to add to and prioritize public safety. So if we can do that in the next 5 years, that'd be great. On top of that, economic development. We have to prioritize bringing businesses to this area, doing business in the area, and staying in the area. We can do that with an economic development portion of the city, have somebody who guides people through the process, shortens down the permitting time, and makes a business-friendly atmosphere to come here. And yeah, number 3 definitely is going to be solving traffic issues, right? We have to work on infrastructure, working with our state, federal, county partners to make sure we have enough funding to better that situation.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Ms. Leary.
Thank you. I think for the big picture to start with, we need to work on stabilizing our income, and that gets back to finding a revenue source, and I think supporting Measure G is probably one of the best methods for doing that. We need to look at thoughtful planning and avoiding any expansion of our city boundaries that will threaten our lifestyles and the environment that we all came here for. It's impingent upon us to actually provide housing, however, that will rely on doing things like enhancing the central business district core, which can, as I noted earlier, provide additional and affordable housing for people if we look at different housing types. We have to look at finishing and maintaining our parks and our public infrastructure, and make sure that, again, we have adequate public safety. So I sort of envision the Folsom that I came here for 30 years ago. We can be larger, but we have to have more community input. And
thank you, Ms. Leary. We're going to move on to Mr. Khan.
Thank you. So my vision for the next 5 to 10 years is pretty much the same that why I came here 15 years ago. I came here for the quality of life, and I would like to maintain that quality of life over here. I would like to have this environment, this community to be safe. I would like to have more jobs and economic development for us, for the current residents, and our younger generation as well. How many of you have the kids who want to come back to Folsom after they graduate from college? Very few. So that's one of the things that I would like to have, that my kids or our next generation would like to come back and then they make Folsom their home. I am looking forward to retire over here. That's exactly what we need to do. Smart growth, another thing that we need to focus on. That's what I want to see I don't want to go into the build, baby, build form that just keep building. I would like to see a smart growth of Folsom. If we are increasing, we have already increased in the last 10, 15 years from 65 to 88,000. Even it's going to continue to increase, have more growth, but it has to be very smartly with the infrastructure that we have.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. We're going to go to Ms. El-Khatib.
Yeah, I will try not to repeat what other folks have said. But in addition to maintaining our public safety, getting it back up to the rate that we are all used to, ensuring that our development is balanced with infrastructure, the growth of the rate of infrastructure that we have, and solving our budget issues, I also want to talk about our youth and the next generation of Folsom leaders. I want to create new opportunities for people in my generation to be able to give back to Folsom as well, to be able to reside here after they graduate, to have access to housing and jobs, and give back to our economy here in Folsom. I think Folsom is very unique. We have a lot of amazing youth. We have some of the best education ever, I think. I mean, and I'm biased as a product of our education system here. It's important that we're retaining our youth and giving them opportunities to thrive post-graduation, and I am committed to also addressing that issue.
Okay, next up, we'll talk about your readiness as candidates to assume office. We're going to start with Mr. Ortega on this one. What makes you the right candidate for this city council seat, and how would you contrast yourself from your opponents in terms of why you should be elected? You have 1 minute for your answer, and we'll start with Mr. Ortega.
So I'm the only candidate of the three of us for District 4 that has worked both in city and county government. I've had to balance and make some hard budget decisions, as I've talked about earlier. I have led employees, large and small groups, so I want to make sure that our city employees are taken care of. I've built relationships throughout the Sacramento area, and particularly in Folsom. In the 43 years that I've lived in this county, I know a lot of people in a lot of different levels of government and business. Living in Folsom for 17 years has given me the opportunity to make a lot of friends and relationships and understand what makes this community tick. Serving on the Planning Commission, I've had experience in looking at our current land use as to what is required. I've been the one that's going to city council meetings for the past year and a half in person just to get a flavor and hear the culture of our city and hear what makes our city beat, listening to all the public comments as well as the culture of the council. I'm the one that's made the hard decisions, and I'm ready to make those hard decisions on behalf of the Folsom that we all love.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Silva, same question. Let me know if you need it refreshed.
Nope, I'm good. So in this position, I think experience matters, right? Vision matters. I've been with the Sheriff's Department for 25 years. Right now, I'm the captain over investigations. I oversee all the investigations for the Sheriff's Department. I manage a $40 million budget. I have over 115 people working for me. And those are all experiences that I'm going to bring to the Folsom City Council. I've worked with some of the biggest issues facing Folsom right now is crime and homelessness. Well, I've worked on both of those issues at the county level. If you look right now, like I said earlier, we don't have any large encampments in the county. That's without sweeps, that's going out, boots on the ground, doing the job. I know what it takes to get that job done. I've worked at regional transit. I know what goes on regional transit. I think we have to use our relationships to make sure that that's not bringing a criminal element to Folsom. And I have those relationships already established with the city, or with the county, with the state and the federal agencies.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Leary, same question. Would you like it refreshed?
I think I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
I, as I had noted earlier, have worked at both the city and regional levels in several different roles. not only on the commissions here, but as an environmental leader in the region. I've worked with Sacramento Regional Transit, SMUD, the county, the city of Sacramento, the city of Folsom, on developing policies that are necessary to make our dreams come true, so to speak. I have really done a lot of outreach with mentoring young people and involving them in our decision making, and I think that that's a critical effort to be made across the board so that we can move forward. We can't go on in serving in these positions without bringing up young people behind us to take our places. I've walked precincts for many years in this city. I've attended hundreds of city council meetings, and I've heard the concerns of not only residents but businesses citywide, and I take their interests to heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Khan, same question, sir. Would you like it refreshed?
No, I'm good. Thank you. So readiness is one of the major key things that we have. You need to select or elect a candidate who can hit the ground running. That's why I bring in my experience working with the state and local government for over the last 18 years, gives me a unique perspective to actually work with, at the breadth of that one, not only just in one silo. Or I'm not only working in one silo of the agencies. Yes, there are great jobs people are doing in either a police or in a healthcare field, but when you are working with as a city council member, you have to deal with all of them. You have to have an experience with the budget. My experience working with the California DMV system, $55 million project that I have handled it. As a policy advocate with American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, that's one of the things which handles about all 50 states and 13 Canadian provinces as well. So for DMV, that's where I have done the policy advocacy as well. So I have experience, connection, and knowledge how to connect with all of that. That's why I'm the best candidate for this position.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Ms. El-Khatib, same question. Would you like it refreshed?
I'm okay, thank you. So my background is also in policy. After I graduated with a degree in political science, I immediately started working for the legislature. So I have exposure and experience working on policy. I know what effective policy looks like. I've worked with numerous, state stakeholders, and I understand how the state, and county and city governments all operate and can collaborate and work together. I also want to thank Barbara for talking a little bit about, giving young people the opportunity to step up and lead. I really do believe that every level of government needs diversity of thought, and part of that is, having our youth step up and be part of the decision-making process, because we're part of the town, and a lot of issues disproportionately affect youth, and so for me, it's making sure that nobody gets left behind, and that all Folsom residents are taken care of, and I think I bring the experience and lived experience as well, being here my whole life, to get that job done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Athel, same question. Do you need it refreshed, sir?
Nope, all good. Experience. I've served on our library commission, our historic district commission, and our planning commission. I know how our local government works, and I also have some great relationships with people that have served the city over the years, have served the county and the state, that I can call on when I don't necessarily know what the answer should be. I do think it's important that we listen to everybody in order to make the best decisions. But I am a nerd who loves to dive in to the data and the details. Everybody that knows me knows that about me. It's why I've served on planning commissions, because I just love diving in. I've read our city budget. I've read other cities' budgets. I've gone back 10 years and read all the budgets because I'm a nerd. I love data. That's what I bring to the table. I'm also a small business owner and a community volunteer. I've been involved with our service day since it started. The greatest example of a public-private partnership here in Folsom. So I really think I can drive that forward with the relationships I have with our volunteers in our nonprofit community.
All right. Well, it looks like we're a little ahead of schedule. We might have time for 2 more questions. We definitely have this question, which is about city amenities. I'm going to leave it up to Mr. McGinnis to see which question he would like for the last one. So city amenities, we want to learn a little bit more about each of you before you move on to our lightning round. There has been some discussion about privatizing or public-private partnerships for city amenities like the Aquatic Center, the zoo, and others. What are your thoughts on this idea? And it is my discretion to randomly pick a number, so I'm going to go right in the middle to Mr. Khan.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you. So I am a big proponent of public-private partnership, but at the same time, I don't want all our city amenities, for example, zoo or the aquatic center, to be privatized. The reason is right now, all of us, no matter what your income level is, we can go and enjoy that one. I can go and my kids and anybody can go to the aquatic center and enjoy that, and we can see the zoo as well. But if we actually completely privatize it, it's going to be difficult for certain level of income people. Same thing we have, if you are, I can actually go in that one, that we can find a public-private partnership, and with that public-private partnership, you can still keep the cost of that one the same. We can still generate the revenue in other ways as well. Advertising is one of the biggest things that we can use. You can have your amenities, and they can have some of the areas are funded by the private partnership, but at the same time, in return, we can give them opportunity to have their advertisement over there as well. So that's going to generate some revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. We're going to move on to Ms. El Khatib.
Yeah, I don't think that the zoo, facilities like the zoo, library, and aquatic center should be privatized. I think that would cause a lot of dysfunction and destruction with those types of amenities. I don't think they're set up for that. I think this is another reason why, fingers crossed, Measure G passes, so we don't have to make decisions like that.
Thank you, Ms. El Khatib. On to you, Mr. Rathel.
Serving on the Library Commission, I learned about all the important programs that our library offers the residents of our community, from English as a second language classes, to story times, to history events, and so much more. Now think about all the things that our zoo and our aquatic center and our sports complex offer our kids to do, offer our families to do. It keeps kids off the streets, and they're really important public amenities for our community to have. That being said, can we run them a little more efficiently? Absolutely. I think it's still it's still government. We can always save it a little bit of money, and we can run it more efficiently. And I think the public-private partnerships, I've got a great history of doing this. I actually was just at a project that's going to be re-roofing the gift shop at the zoo because it's in bad shape right now. We're bringing in private money. We've got a roofing contractor that said, hey, he'll volunteer his time. And this is what I've done in the community for 10 years through Community Service Day, through Rotary. I'm in a great position to set up a Parks Foundation and really drive that public-private partnership to save money.
Thank you, Mr. Rathel. Appreciate that. Okay, we're going to move to Mr. Ortega.
Yeah, I'm in favor of public-private partnerships. I know this has been talked about in council many times. YK has brought it up and other council members, but YK is the one that's always hammering that. I don't want to give up the assets that our city loves and values so much, but I will say that some of them could be run a little more efficiently. The one example, and I'm not saying I need to raise all the fees, but the admission to the zoo is the same as it was when my daughter was 9 months old. I just sent her off to college last week. So we need to have some type of escalators in there to make sure that the city breaks even for folks that use that stuff. And I think that there's an opportunity for people to adopt trails and sponsor trails out there. We need to, if Measure G doesn't pass, we have to have a plan B. So some of these ideas that we're talking about here need to be really thought of if that doesn't work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. Mr. Silva.
Yeah, so listen, all these things we're talking about, these should be provided by the city. We have parks, the zoo, the library, all that stuff should be provided by the city. Now, if we can figure out a way to partner with a private entity to make those each of those operations run more smoothly, where we still have our hands in it and we're still able to call it a city asset, yeah, there's no reason we should not look into that. But giving up complete control of these different areas, I don't think is in the best interest of number one, the people that live in Folsom, and the people that travel here to Folsom to go to those to use those amenities.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. And Ms. Leary.
I'll have to reiterate that the Zoo Aquatic Center, library, ball fields, recreational, and library programs are absolutely irreplaceable. They are affordable and allow all of our residents the opportunity to participate in each and every one of the services that they provide. I don't see these as money makers. They can probably be made to be more efficient. Public-private partnerships will work when necessary, but I don't want the city to lose control over these facilities and have us, eventually in the position of having to either shut them down or find that we have some services that are no longer recognizable. The city needs to maintain control of these facilities, and I'm absolutely opposed to privatizing them altogether or selling any of them. This is something that attracts people to Folsom and keeps us here.
Thank you, Ms. Leary. All right.
Okay, I think we have the prerogative to take a question or two from the optional questions list. We are close on time, but a little bit ahead. So I'm going to take my prerogative to take the very last of the optional questions and go in direct numerical order for a minute each. What specific ideas do you have to protect and strengthen the business environment or to facilitate greater economic development? I'll start with Mr. Ortega, number one.
So I go back to an answer that I've said earlier, is to make sure that we have adequate public safety, make sure that there are enhancements to our police department. They already have a good program to work with the existing business community. I think we can exponentially increase that with better security cameras, better technology for the police department, more technology to have license plate readers so we know who's coming and going into our city. If you're using our public roads, you're going to have your license plate read, and that helps solve crime for many of our businesses that have been victimized, particularly the outlets and other parts of the city. If there's not safety, folks are not going to want to open their businesses here. And if they don't want to open, and even if they do open their businesses here, the employees and the business owners want to make sure they feel safe walking down the street, going to the store, driving on our roadways, and making sure that traffic is not out of control. Public safety is going to be the big part in making sure that businesses are attracted to this community.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Silva.
Yes, so the Central Business District and the Central District Plan have to be prioritized. It's such a huge area in Folsom as a tax base and a place where people go. My vision would be to make that a destination place where people will go there to spend money and actually stay there. Right now, it's people go there, do their shopping, and then leave. So if we can do anything to revitalize that area, make it easier to access, better open spaces for people to hang out and that sort of thing, I think we need to prioritize that. Number two is fix the permitting problem. We hear about it all the time. It's taking some businesses a year and a half to actually open up. There's got to be a way to shorten that time, lessen that time, make it easier for them to open businesses in Folsom. And then number three, and I'll reiterate what Ortega said, but yes, just make it a safe place. As long as people are comfortable coming here, feel safe coming here, they're going to continue to come here and spend money.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Leary.
Thank you. I really believe that we need to strengthen our outreach and attract more desirable businesses and services to this town. We really need to do a lot more research on what younger people want, what will keep them here and wanting to stay in Folsom to be entertained rather than head downtown for the kind of entertainment venues that they offer there. Having some in-house economic development staff may help in working collaboratively with what the Chamber is currently undertaking. And I think the only way to keep our city viable is to continue to head in that direction. That is looking to see what younger people want and what young families want and need, rather than focusing on some of the older ideas that have been in place since the 1950s. I keep in touch with my 30-something-year-old daughter and her young family, and I hear about what they're doing for activities, and a lot of those aren't available out here, and I'd like to see some of that happen.
Thank you. Mr. Khan.
Thank you. When we are talking about actually prioritizing things, so I think the economic growth is one of the vital area that we have to focus on. If you look at it, that we need to provide more business opportunities and make sure that our Folsom revenue stays here. Folsom people, they want to come back, and people from other side, outside as well, should be coming over here as well. And more businesses are open. One example, very instant success, Kamaria, the new coffee shop that just opened off of Folsom Auburn Road. That is actually an instant success. Why? Because that was very much aligned with the young crowd that we have over here. They wanted to come over here. They wanted to enjoy and hang out in a very safe environment. That's exactly one of the things that we had. We need to then look at it. Well, that is also tied to the public safety. We have a safety available. We have safe environment available. That would take care of it. And we also need to focus on the homelessness. We have 133 at one point in time, Sacramento County count homeless people. We need to take care of that one as well. That will help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Ms. El-Khatib.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's super important to try to streamline local approval to make it easier for businesses to come here and want to stay here. I think that's definitely a priority. I also, again, want to concur with Barbara. I think it's really important to bring in new ventures that attract a variety of audiences. You know, I can tell you that my friend group in high school was not spending, you know, a lot of Saturday nights in Folsom. I think that could definitely change. You know, prioritizing areas like in our central business plan to bring in those new ventures to really modernize things and make it a desirable place to be long-term for many hours, you know, and provide a variety of different options here in Folsom, I think would really change the atmosphere of our town. And so that's something I would support.
Thank you. Mr. Raythill.
I've been through the permitting process here in Folsom when I opened a small business. I've been through the permitting process in Roseville when I expanded my business. I can tell you specifically what those pain points with me. I've also been in meetings with small business owners and city staff to go through specifically what went wrong with their permitting process. I have the experience to actually dive in with the city manager and resolve the permitting issue because I can actually have been through the process before. Our municipal code is significantly out of date. We started an initiative to update that code over 5 years ago. It was supposed to be a 12 to 18-month process. Guess what's still not done today? That makes it really hard for our small business owners who want to follow the rules to follow the rules because the rules are outdated. And they don't necessarily have the resources to hire an attorney or a consultant to waive the rules for them. I think we could also use a facade incentive in the central business district, and I think we could use an ice rink that's been talked about down in Folsom Ranch, and I'd love to incentivize that.
Thank you, everyone. This brings us to the final phase of the evening, the lightning round. We've got 5 questions. Here, we'll be asking you to raise your hand if you are in support or in opposition to a handful of ballot measures and other proposals before the city. Please raise your hand high for each answer. Proposition 32 on the November ballot would increase minimum wage from the current $16 an hour to $18 per hour by January 2026. Raise your hand if you support this measure. Raise your hand if you oppose this measure. Thank you, candidates. Proposition 33 on the November ballot would allow rent control on single-family homes and houses built after February 1st, 1995. Raise your hand if you are in support of this measure. Raise your hand if you oppose this measure. Thank you, candidates. Proposition 36 on the November ballot would increase punishments for people convicted of certain drug and theft crimes, particularly crimes involving retail theft and dealing fentanyl. Raise your hand if you support this measure. I don't think I need to ask the next question if anybody opposes. All right, our next question is, here in Folsom, Measure G on the November ballot would create a 1-cent sales tax to help raise $29 million annually for police, fire, parks, trails, economic development within the city of Folsom. All this money would stay in Folsom, and up to 40% would be paid by visitors who don't live here but use our services. Raise your hand if you support this measure. Raise your hand if you oppose this measure. There you go. All right. This is the last question. The Capital Southeast Connector is a proposed 34-mile, 4-lane expressway that would connect the communities of Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, Folsom, and El Dorado Hills, providing an alternative to driving on Highway 50. It would also include improved intersections at major access points and a path for pedestrians, bicycles, and equestrians along the entire corridor. Raise your hand if you support this project. Is that everybody? Raise your hand if you oppose. Sorry, Barbara, I can't see your hand, so you're raising it low. Okay, so everybody approves that. So, okay, Mr. McGinnis.
All right, closing remarks, 1 minute each. Thank you again, everyone, for participating. And to conclude this evening's event, I'd like to invite you all to make a 1-minute closing statement. And we will start again with candidate number 1, Mr. Ortega.
Thank you, Sheriff. Folsom's at a crossroads, ladies and gentlemen, as we all are aware. I'm the only candidate in my district that has, as I've said earlier, that's led large groups, balanced hard budgets, dealt with collaborative groups to solve large regional problems, and knows how to lead, knows how to build relationships and get things done. You know, if I'm on the council, it's not going to just be me. I need to find at least 2 other, hopefully 4 other votes to get things done. I've done this before in my work life. I love this city. I have a history of community service going back to when I had dark hair and was a few pounds lighter in my active 20-30 days. And I'm in the Rotary Club of Folsom today. And I'm on the Planning Commission because I love where I live and I want to do the right thing for this city and serve you. There's no real glory in this other than wanting to do the right thing and make our city safe for businesses and families. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Silva.
Yes. So experience matters. I'm the only candidate with the experience to confront the problems that Folsom's currently going through with the homelessness issues and the crime issues. I'm the only candidate who's dealt with these in real world experiences. I've gone out to the camps, I've worked with advocates, I've worked with enforcement. I know what it takes to get this problem taken care of. Leadership matters. For the second half of my career at the Sheriff's Department, I've always been in leadership positions. I led narcotics teams, I led K-9 teams. I'm a captain of a large division with a very large budget right now. So those sorts of things matter, and then vision matters. I want to make sure that Folsom continues to be and we preserve what Folsom is and why we all have come to love it.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Ms. Leary.
I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for giving me the opportunity to speak this night and thank all of you for your attendance. As an ongoing participant in citywide planning and decision-making, I've shown my commitment and resiliency in serving our community. I take pride in my successes to date, and I'm eager to continue to work with our residents and businesses for the greater good. I am looking forward to working with more younger people and getting some of them on our boards and commissions and helping us with the decision-making. I am intent on not oversizing our city by expanding the boundaries and risking the services, goods, and necessary things like water for our existing and future residents. South of 50 is not yet grown. There are another 8 to 10 years of development to be going on down there. I'm the only candidate on this District 4 who has actually been working on both sides of the dais for 30 years, representing the community at all times. So I'd love to have your support in my bid for City Council District 4. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leary. Mr. Khan.
Thank you very much, and thank you, every one of you. I know that you could be anywhere, but you decided to spend your time over here, so really thankful to you for listening to us. Just want to remind you that today, 90 minutes, this is just a glimpse of what my campaign is. But you have, these 90 minutes are not going to be enough for you to actually know me in detail. So if you would like to know me more, I would like to encourage you to reach out to me by phone, email, my social media, Facebook, anywhere that you can, or go to my website, www.khanforfolsom.com, that you can find out exactly what I do. What matters over here is that if your voice is heard. I am kind of a person, I'm going to come out on the park and then listen to you and talk to you as well. My experience with overall with the state and local government enables me that I can get the work done. I'm not kind of a person who's just sitting over there and then saying, okay, we'll fix the problem when we will have the resources. We'll make the resources to fix the problem. That's the main thing. That's the candidate who I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Ms. El-Khatib.
Yes, thank you all so much for coming and joining us tonight. This is a great honor. For me, it's really simple. You know, Folsom has always been my home. This is where my family is. This is where my community is. My campaign represents a very community-driven campaign, and I have a real investment in the future of Folsom. I want to make sure that our quality of life is sustained the way it was in my childhood, the way that we're all used to, and you know, what we love about Folsom and what makes it distinctive by nature. And that's our, you know, that's our strong and safe neighborhoods, and ensuring that our quality of life is what it should be. You know, and I really encourage you all to check out my social media at Hella for Folsom to learn more. My website is hellaelkhatib.com. An investment in my campaign is an investment in the future, and I look forward to meeting with some of you later on. Thank you so much.
Mr. Rathel.
I love Folsom, and I work every day to make sure Folsom is the best place to live, work, and raise a family. I've been serving our city as a business owner and community volunteer for over 15 years, and I understand the details of how our city government operates. Folsom needs accountable city council members who set good policies, who are good stewards of each and every tax dollar, and who communicate a clear vision for what Folsom is going to be in the next 20 years. I'll fight for the Folsom where our kids are safe to walk on trails and play in our parks, where traffic congestion is prioritized for resolution, where we have well-trained first responders and a dispatch center that works with our citizens to prevent crimes and respond quickly, where we preserve our open spaces and our heritage oak trees, where we support small business owners and help them thrive, and where we have transparent government, which is easy for our citizens to get the services and the communications that they need. I respectfully ask for your vote on November 5th. Feel free to reach out to me anytime at my website also, and my phone has my phone number on it, justinrathel.com.
Well, thank you, candidates. That brings our forum to a close. Please join me. Yes, thank you. Thank you, candidates, for all your time this evening. Thank you again for Folsom Lake College for hosting us. Thank you for Choose Folsom and the Folsom Chamber of Commerce. I also want to thank Mr. John McGinnis for coming out and sharing the stage. And we want to thank Folsom Times for live streaming this tonight. And we want to thank all those tuning in online to really find out who the candidates are and what's important to you, and really dig in this this voting season. So thank you again, and good night.
I'd like to invite you all to stay for refreshments if you brought them, but we don't have any. So.